Hey everybody, this is RL, mountainbikeriders.com. Today we're going to show you how to make the Ghetto Tubeless setup. I've got the KHS XCT555. I've actually been running this Ghetto Tubeless setup for quite some time. If you notice my rear tire, I have a little bit of a inner tube left over, and that's basically what we're going to do. All we're doing is taking a 24-inch tube. You can get this anywhere from any bike shop. And then what you have to do next is place that inner tube on your rim, and what I've already done was cut this down the middle. So they basically fillet it. And after you get it set up like that, what I'd like to do is kind of press things down, so that way the tube actually sits inside the rim. And it also helps too when you mount your tire, is if you get this stuff wet, so it'll just slip right on. What likes to call it lubrication. Okay, so just to let you know, we're using the stock wheels, which is a Mavic 317 disc. Okay, no special tubeless setup or anything, or tubeless rims. Just
non-USD.
Yeah, non-UST. Okay, so now I'm going to use a stock tire, which is the Mavic Wolverine 2.2.
Not WTB.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, WTB. Okay, so what we're going to do is mount this on here, just like this, and we'll do that, but when we come back, we'll show it all mounted. Because yeah, you should typically use like a soapy rag, but since I don't have soap with me, the wet rag will be suffice. Is that the right word? Is that how you use it? Suffice? Will suffice?
Yeah.
And this will help, just like how they do on car tires when they put new tires on the wheel. You know, they soap it up and then they mount the tire on. So I'm going to go with the tread orientation, so it goes that way. So I'll try this on like this. Okay, so we mounted the tire on here, making sure that we pull out all this excess tubing. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to test to make sure this thing will seal up. I'm not going to put any stands seal yet. I just want to make sure that this thing will hold air. So, I've got my compressor ready. So, we have air in there.
How many PSI?
This is probably about 40 right now. Actually, it's probably like 35. Then, now that I know it holds air, I'm going to break the seal again and then add about 2 scoops of stands. Okay? So I got some stands right here. And I'm just going to guesstimate, because I'm not a big weight weenie. And I am just going to pour that in there. About right. Now put this tire back in. Now I'm going to get my compressor and then air it up. Sometimes what I like to do is I put my hand underneath the tire. Helps inflate it. We're about 30 right now. And so with that, what I do is you can hear the fluid in there. I go around, do this. Basically what that does is it helps coat the inner walls of the tire. And when you coat it, it seals up any holes that you have in basically in the walls, in the rubber. Because the non-UST tires are pretty porous, and if I were to just fill it up with air without the stands, it'll just basically leak out of it, leak all the air out. So I do this, and then what I like to do is I'll take a trash can, sit it on top of the trash can like this, and let it kind of, first I do this, just make sure it gets all in there, let it sit for a few minutes, and I flip it over, same thing, and then take my wet rag get the walls like this, clean it up a bit. What this will help me do is it'll help me see bubbles that's formed along the walls. And then, because what will happen is the stands will seep out while it's sealing the rubber. And what'll happen is it'll keep bubbling, but once everything's sealed up, there's no more bubbles coming out of the walls. And sometimes you can even hear it, but so far we're good. I mean, stuff like this, you know, you'd have it along the bead line. So far we're good. I'm just going to put a little bit more air in. I'll bring it up to about 45, maybe even up to 50. I'll bring it up that high just so I can make sure the stands is getting pushed out to the walls. All right. So I'll just do this. Take this, cut, and then what I like to do, I don't know if you have good lighting in there? Mm-hmm. What I like to do is I'll just pull as I'm cutting, and that allows me to get a closer cut to it. So we got that side done. Do the same thing here. It's not the most attractive, but it really works. Like I said, I had this set up on my back tire. Actually, I had it in the front too for the last 8 to 9 months. And every few months, I'll go ahead and refill the wheel with some stands because it does dry out. Don't get me wrong, it'll dry out, and you'll need to make sure that stuff is still wet. So, in case of a puncture, the stands itself will work.
So what are the advantages of the Ghetto Tubeless?
Well, you know, honestly, there's a couple of advantages. At least for me, what I've felt, there's a huge handling difference between a tube and a tubeless. For some reason, it just rolls better. There's just more feel to it. It's weird. And then of course, the other advantage, if you get I mean, look at this. There's a thorn right now in there. It's from, see that? And there's some of the stands coming out. That's all I got to do. I can just put it back on the bike and let it rotate, and it'll seal it up. So, put it back on the bike.
How about cost?
The cost for this, it's relatively inexpensive because you figure you're using your stock wheels, and then a tube is anywhere from $2 to $5 per tube, so that's $10, let's say, for each wheel. You got the stock tires. The stand stuff, I mean, you can get these for like anywhere from $15 to $20 anywhere. So you less than about what, $30? You got tubeless tires. You got peace of mind that you're not going to get a flat. And you know, it just rides better too. So that's about it. This is RL from mountainbikeriders.com. Thanks to Mo, my partner over here, manning the camera, and we showed you how to do the tubeless setup, the ghetto style. And so if you have any other questions, feel free to ask us at info@mountainbikeriders.com.